Hey y'all! Beating Pokemon Red using only one Spearow was a tour de force, but this week is gonna be a real kick in the head. I'm gonna try to beat Pokemon Crystal using only one Wobbuffet! As usual, the rules are I can only use Wobbuffet in battle, and I can't use any trainer items in battle. By the way, if you like that kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and check out more of these videos on my channel. Wobbuffet has got to be one of my favorite Pokemon thematically, if not competitively. It's got a great personality and cry, and I mean, come on, look at its doofy face. This thing is the Pokemon equivalent of one of those inflatable clowns that never falls over no matter how hard you punch it. It even has the manners to salute you as you beat it up. In case anyone is lost, things will make more sense once I show you the stats and moves. You might notice that Wobbuffet doesn't learn any TM or HM moves, and it only gets 4 moves. In fact, it doesn't even technically learn any moves in this game, since it has all 4 of its moves from the very start. And as you can see, Wobbuffet has okay defense, and okay special defense, and the attack and the special attack and the speed are all crap, but it has a absolutely gargantuan HP stat. The point of this Pokemon is that it's not meant to attack directly. It's supposed to take damage and then retaliate with Counter or Mirror Coat. The high HP lets you take more damage so you can deal more damage. But the whole strategy is reliant on what the opponent chooses to do, so it's gonna be a little tricky. But I am excited to give it the old college try. Alright, let's do this. Off at Professor Elm's lab, I used the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Totodile with Wobbuffet so that our rival will pick the Grass-type Chikorita. Wobbuffet doesn't have a type advantage against any of the starters, and while the Totodile line will get the super effective move Bite, I think the Chikorita line will be the most difficult overall. They have multiple status moves, which reduce the probability of us correctly guessing Counter or Mirror Coat, plus it has Reflect to reduce physical damage, which will actually come into play later. Wobbuffet has a very easygoing attitude, like a beach bum that literally rolls with the punches. So I nickname ours Jimmy Buffett. Wobbuffet's moveset for this entire run will be Counter, Mirror Coat, Safeguard, and Destiny Bond. Destiny Bond knocks out the opponent Pokemon, but only if Wobbuffet faints first, so, well, that's useless. And Safeguard prevents status moves from working against us for 5 turns, which will be very useful later in the run. Counter will deal twice the damage that we take, 4 physical attacks, and Mirror Coat will deal twice the damage we take, 4 special attacks. For now, though, Bubs' Chikorita only has Tackle and Growl, so it's a 50% chance each turn to successfully land a counter as Chikorita hits us with Tackle. These odds will worsen as the game goes on and opponents' Pokemon gain more moves, but for this battle, we might as well have just flip-flopped a coin. After beating the rival Bubs, I head to the Violet City Gym to take on the leader Falkner and his Flying Freaks. And Falkner forgoes using Mud Slap and only attacks with Tackle and Gust, so Wobbuffet is easily able to bop his birds. So, instead, I'll take this time to discuss how I'm avoiding as many trainers along the way as possible. Not because I don't need the experience, but just because every battle is extremely time-consuming. Still, I already know I'm going to have to level up eventually, so I'm trying to figure out whether I want to do it now when the Pokemon have less moves and it's easier to predict counters and Mirror Coats, but for less experience, or later when it's harder but for more experience? I don't know, I could put it off for now, but I should probably deal with it sooner rather than later. Now in Azalea Town, I'm ready to take on Bugsy the Bug-type Gym Leader for the Hive Badge. And that's probably going to be easier said than done, since Wobbuffet is a Psychic type, which is weak to Bug. We start off against the Metapod, and we're just waiting for this thing to stop going for String Shot and Harden, and instead use Tackle. It's a waiting game, and the only real strategy here is maybe setting up Safeguard before the Metapod faints, which is meant to prevent being poisoned by Kakuna's Poison Sting, but Bugsy sends out Scyther first. I'm kinda worried, but it turns out that Fury Cutter does enough damage for Counter to take out Scyther in 2 turns. So I made it to the Kakuna with a safeguard in tow, but come to find out that Poison Sting does so little damage, ipso facto our Counter does so little damage, that there's plenty of time for multiple safeguards to fade. So I kinda stopped using them. But even so, we handily win this battle on the first try, and it's nice for once to have exactly the tools we need to do so. Especially when you consider that there's been dozens of challenges thus far where all we could do was flounder around. After all, it's well past time we were able to orchestrate a proper plan. Now that we've snubbed Bugsy's grubs, it's time to get the dub against Bubs. And when I tried this at level 17, yeah, it was just not working. There's way too much variance to try to win with Counter and Mirror Coat without running out of either HP, or more importantly, BP. So instead, I decide our best bet is to leave 1 BP for Safeguard to prevent Hypnosis or Lick Paralysis, and then fight the rest of the battle with Struggle. Yeah, the strategy works well, but because Wobbuffet only has 33 base attack, we don't do much damage. It's not until level 25 that I was finally able to beat Bubs, and that's because Reflect from his Bayleaf reduces the damage of our already weak struggles. So, things are kinda off to a rocky start, yay. But then again, I already expected Bubs to be a pain throughout this entire challenge, since he's the main antagonist for our little Jimmy Buffett. I guess you could call him the Margarita villain? Next up is the Goldenrod City Gym and the battle with Whitney. She's famous for being a gym leader who controls a milk cow and works next to a casino, or as I like to call it, a cheese herder near a pair of dice. Originally, I tried to fight this battle using Struggle since I thought it would be faster, but that turned out to be a bad idea. Miltank's rollout racks up damage way faster than Struggle can crush the cow, so instead, it's back to using Counter to fight Whitney's Pokemon. Wobbuffet wins the battle, and Whitney starts wailing. Oh, come on, stop crying. It's just a Pokemon battle. No need to get so emotional. Once I reach the rival Bubs in the Burnt Tower in Ecruteak City, I'm immediately forced to switch back to fighting with Struggle. I can't even set up a safeguard first like last time because that just leaves an extra turn for Haunter's Curse to damage us. This is a huge problem because Curse deals 1/4 of our health each turn, and when combined with the recoil damage that Struggle deals, Wobbuffet quickly drops like a log. It's not until I grind Wobbuffet up from 26 to level 35 that Wobbuffet is finally able to beat Bubs, and even then, with a lot of luck. Besides the fact that Haunter never went for Curse this time, which I think has something to do with the AI worrying about the difference in our levels, Bayleaf gets our health super low before Reflect fades just in time for one final struggle to finish it off. Hey, it was all a part of my plan. So if you're asking whether or not I did that on purpose, then I say dolphinitely. Next up is the Spectral Showdown with the Ecruteak City Gym Leader Morty and his gang of ghoulish ghosts. In this battle... Seriously, this battle is awful. And even at level 40, it's really, really hard. I can usually get past the Ghastly, and yet the first Haunter's not that big of an issue. But then there's the Gengar, the Gengar, the Gengar. It usually puts us to sleep, and then slams Wobbuffet with super effective Shadow Balls. And even if it doesn't use Shadow Ball, Dream Eater heals Gengar's health, which in turn means Wobbuffet will have to take more Struggle recoil damage in order to knock it out. And I have tried this battle so many times, and it's not working. It's not working. And I wish I could just skip the battle and go straight to Cianwood City, but I need Morty's gym badge in order to cross the water. I guess I could just steal the badge, but that would be illegal surf and seizure. I keep trying this battle over and over again, rather than trying to level up, because seriously, I cannot stress enough to you just how annoying it is to try to level up with Wobbuffet. Okay, So after dozens of tries, I finally managed to get past the stupid Gengar, and after that, it's not too hard to take down the final Haunter. And I always thought it was kind of weird that Morty's last Pokemon is a Haunter, when that's usually the gym trainer's ace. So why does he send out his Gengar 3rd instead of 4th? Beach me! Now with the ability to surf outside of battle, I set sail from Olivine City and head to the Cianwood City Gym to take on the fighting type gym leader Chuck. And this battle is pretty easy, and thankfully I don't need to use struggle to win. But here I do want to point out something that I have noticed about Wobbuffet. This Pokemon might be perfectly balanced for a solo challenge run. Yeah, I know. Weird considering how awful this has been thus far, but hear me out. Most Pokemon challenges become easier if you just level up your Pokemon, but for Wobbuffet this isn't necessarily the case. Being a higher level means that you have more HP to take more attacks, but that also means that opponents' attacks are doing less damage, which means our counter and mirror coats are dealing less damage as a consequence. So, for the first time in all of my Pokemon challenge runs, over-leveling is actually a bad thing. We're pretty early in the run though, so maybe I shouldn't be trying to overthink things. Instead, I'm going to take a bit of a hands-off approach for now. Or as I like to call it, laissez-faire. Next up is the Steel-type gym leader Jasmine. And this battle is usually a real pain in the ain, but this time, it ain't. For starters, her Magnemites are super annoying because they spam Thunder Wave, but Wobbuffet is faster, so we can protect ourselves with Safeguard. Also convenient is the fact that her Magnemites have a very strong move in Thunderbolt and also a great special attack stat, so our Mirror Coats actually deal significant damage because we take more damage. What's even crazier than 1-hit KOing her 2 Magnemite? Almost 1-hit KOing her Steelix. We beat Jasmine on the first try, but we did come close to losing thanks to her Hyper Potion making us take an extra Iron Tail for our troubles, which was not a cool thing to do. After dispatching the Lake of Rage Team Rocket hideout portion of the game, I then headed to take on Price, the Ice-type gym leader in Mahogany Town. And by the way, I fought the entire Team Rocket portion using Struggle, because it's just much faster that way. And in fact, this seems to be the optimal strategy for all of the plot that happens between the gym leaders. Before healing at a Pokemon Center and restoring our PP, I gave Price a try using Struggle, and I actually got pretty far. Well, sort of. You see, knocking out Price's Pokemon would be super easy, were it not for the fact that 2 of Price's 3 Pokemon love to heal spam. The Dugong is particularly pernicious, since it repeatedly rests to heal itself back to full health, while Wobbuffet racks up the recoil damage. And seriously, you can see in this battle that Wobbuffet lost 80% of its health before even getting to the Piloswine, and a huge portion of that was Struggle recoil damage. And this battle isn't any better when trying to fight with Counter and Mirror Coat. In fact, it actually might be more consistent using Struggle. I don't know. I'm not really sure which one's better. After leveling up against a bunch of the trainers in the gym and the Lake of Rage, I try this one again, and at level 53, we're finally able to win. And oh boy, if we needed to be level 53 to beat Price, then you know we're about to have a real bad time later in the challenge. It's honestly a real shocker. Hard to believe, and absolutely scandalous. With 7 gym badges in hand, we now have to take on the rival Bubs in the basement underground during the Team Rocket Radio Tower anime arc. Oh great! I went from one boring and belabored Team Rocket stretch of the game to an even longer and more pointless one. Alright, Bubs leads off with Golbat, which likes to confuse us with Confuse Ray, which makes us hit ourselves in confusion. Oh great, just what I needed. More recoil damage. I could try the strategy where we start the battle with a single Safeguard BP, but do you have any idea how long it takes to go through the other 69 BP? And I know a bunch of you right now are snickering and saying, 69. No, it's not nice. Not nice at all. In fact, it's a real pain in the neck. And Wobbuffet comes pretty close here to winning, but once again, Bubs' starter Pokemon is the proverbial thorn in my side. Ah! Ooh! Ooh! Okay. Whoa. Whoa. Dude, relax. Relax. Gonna need you to copper tone it down. Okay. A crap ton of tries later, and I make it back to the Meganium, but this time without having been paralyzed by the Magnemite. Okay, well, that's good. Wobbuffet has plenty of HP left over this time to take Meganium's attacks while struggling back. Good grief. This challenge is getting quickly out of hand, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is this what you wanted? Is this what you all wanted? Are you entertained? Do you like watching the little monkey man dance around? Ooh, 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 ooh. After all, my life is a circus. Come one, come all. Buoys and gulls. Having slid through Ice Path and making it to Blackthorn City, it's now time for the final Johto Gym leader, Claire, the Dragon-type trainer. And after the time I had with Bubs before in the basement, I'm very happy to say that Claire was pretty easy. Thankfully, Wobbuffet is faster than Claire's Dragonairs, so we can repeatedly set up Safeguard before she can paralyze us with Thunder Wave. And once we are protected from Thunder Wave, it's an easy matter of clicking Mirror Coat since her Dragonair all usually only attack us with special moves. And honestly, the trickiest part of this battle was the Kingdra. It attacks with both physical and special moves, but since it has twice as many special moves as physical moves, I just click Mirror Coat and hope for the best. And hey, it worked out! I won this on the very first try, and this battle was a Malibu Bay Breeze. Before we reach the Elite Four, we have to take on the rival Bubs in Victory Road. As usual, I'm forced to fight using Struggle, thanks to the fact that Bubs has a Haunter that makes this otherwise easy battle a nightmare. And we're level 65, so we're a high enough level that his Pokemon's attacks don't really do much, and despite our super low attack, they usually go down to a few struggles each anyways. Once again, I decide not to go for the single Safeguard BP route, instead opting for pure offense. If you can even call it that, honestly, it's just sad. Still, I did make sure to give Wobbuffet the Paralyzed Cure Berry hold item, just to help deal with the Magneton. In case you can't tell, I really hate paralysis. Unless I'm using it, of course. And that's not hypocritical. That's America. In a flashback to battles with Bub Mist Pass, we come very low on health against his Meganium, which is tanking our attacks thanks to Reflect. And just as we're about to get knocked out, Reflect fades and we do just enough damage to win the battle. That's the second time we almost missed the wind, or as I like to call it, Sprayja Vu. We finally made it to the Pokemon League, so here are the stats and moves. It's the same moveset as before, because I don't have a choice. And you can see our absolutely massive HP stat, and conversely, our pitiful, well, everything else. I went back and forth on the strategy, and decided that we're not going to fight with Struggle this time. While Karen does have a Gengar, and that's problematic, there's no way I'm going to fight through the first 3 Elite Four members using only Struggle. I mean, that would be crazy. Also, fun side effect, because I did most of the run using Struggle, and I couldn't heal at Pokemon Centers, I spent all of our money getting healing items, and there's nothing left over to buy vitamins for Wobbuffet. And besides, they cost a fortune. Up first is the Psychic-type Elite Four member Will. And now that we're actually at the Elite Four, I'm excited to finally have some proper battles using Counter and Mirror Coat. Things start off well, with Wobbuffet taking down Will's 2 Xatu using Mirror Coat as they spam Psychics. We do take extra damage thanks to Will using a Max Potion on his second Xatu, and I didn't even realize that he had Max Potions. The problems arise though when he sends out the Jinx. And maybe I got lucky with the Xatu spamming Psychic, because I cannot for the life of me figure out the Jinx's move choice pattern. It constantly switches between Lovely Kiss, Double Slap, and Ice Punch, and I can't for the life of me connect with one of our 2 Backlash moves. Oh god, I don't want to do this with Struggle. I don't want to do this with Struggle. Oh god. Shall we continue? Yes, that is level 83, and no, I don't want to talk about it. As you can see, this time we are going to be fighting with struggle. Ooh, hey, does anyone else remember earlier in the run when I made that nifty little observation about how being at a higher level makes it harder to knock things out with mirror code and counter? Yeah, I hate being right sometimes. Still, I can't avoid it. Gotta level up. We're fighting with struggle. And I not only need to hit harder, but I need more HP so we can survive our own recoil. And you might be wondering, hey, how did you decide to stop at level 83? Well, honestly, I just couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't do it anymore. There's no math. There's no nothing. I just couldn't do it anymore. You try using struggle to grind out 18 levels. I almost died of boogie boredom. I sure as Shamu hope that this works out because I am starting to get that nagging little voice in the back of my mind telling me to just give up on this garbage run already. At level 83, however, this battle is actually easier using struggle. Okay, both Xatu and Jinx are a 2-hit KO, and honestly the scariest Pokemon is the Exeggutor. It takes multiple struggles to knock out, and if it lands a Leech Seed, well then the battle's over. Leech Seed deals 1/16 of Wobbuffet's total health as damage each turn and then heals the opponent by that same amount, and since our HP is already really big and we're already a much higher level, it's gargantuan by comparison to the amount of struggle damage that we deal, so Leech Seed will heal the opponent back to full health each turn as we are forced to knock ourselves out in recoil. And after a handful of tries, I managed to make it past the Exeggutor without that happening, at which point Wobbuffet is able to clean up the battle. And thank God we're done with that. We still have the rest of the Elite Four to get through, but I'm just happy to be done with Will. And hey, all it took was grinding for longer than it takes the tides to change. It's just like they say, where there's a will, there's a wave. Next up is Koga, the Poison and Bug type Elite Four member. I briefly consider restoring our Beepy and trying to fight Koga with counter, and then I remember that his Pokemon love Double Team, so I give up on that idea immediately. Struggle makes quick work of the Ariados, and thank goodness it's a typeless move, because if not, we wouldn't do nearly enough damage, nearly quick enough to knock out the Fortress before it uses Explosion. Koga's Crobat sets up a Double Team, and Struggle takes multiple turns to take it down, but thankfully, we don't miss more than once, nor do we get hit with Toxic. Also, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Wobbuffet for landing a critical hit on the Muck after it set up Acid Armor to raise its defense. I mean, I'm not exactly sure if we could have won without that critical hit, but that's completely Poseidon the point. Next up is the Fighting type Elite Four member Bruno. In this run, even Bruno manages to give us a run for our money. I consider once again restoring our Beepy, but then instead I just decide to spam struggle and hope for the best. Things seem to be going alright at first, as Wobbuffet doesn't have too much trouble with Bruno's 3 Hitmonchumps, but oddly enough, the real problem with this battle is the Onix. Yeah, I know, that's not a joke. It's, just sad. It sets up Sandstorm, which deals 1/8 of the maximum health of any Pokemon that isn't Rock, Ground, or Steel type for 5 turns. That means that over 5 turns, Wobbuffet takes 63% of its total health to Sandstorm damage, in addition to whatever other damage that Bruno decides to dish out. And if not for the Max Potion used on the Machamp, we might have been able to win this one, but honestly, that's just copium. I'll take any excuse to not feel bad about having lost to Bruno. I've totally mermaid a fool of myself. Okay, so I've got nothing to do but try again, but first I grab a few more levels and then run through the Elite Four, and even use a rare candy just to hit level 88, which, thanks to ending in the number 8, gives a damage rounding boost. This time against Bruno, we're doing much better. And I'm also realizing that in some ways, Sandstorm can be slightly helpful. Sure, losing our health is awful, but if we quickly knock out the Onix, that means a few turns where Sandstorm is damaging Bruno's other Pokemon. This means we have to deal less damage with Struggle and therefore take less damage from Recoil. I even gave Wobbuffet a berry to hold because for some reason I thought that 10 extra HP would actually make a difference. But we finished the battle with much more than 10 HP, so it turns out I didn't need to be so pacific. Up next is the Dark-type Elite Four member Karen, and I hate this vile woman and her cantankerous Pokemon. I have Wobbuffet hold a Bitter Berry to at least help with the Scumbrion's Confuse Ray, but there's nothing to stop it from going for Sand Attack, and I hate it. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Okay, let's see if we can make any progress even with lowered accuracy. Alright, miss a bunch of struggles, but hey, at least we make it to the Houndoom. That is, of course, when Crunch lowers our special defense, and oh great, we keep on missing! Hooray! Love it! Love it! Love it! Ah! Come on, Karen! Can't you give me a break? Okay, so since we're already pretty close to level 100, instead of grinding, which I just cannot be bothered to do anymore, I decide it's time to start using some of our rare candies. We're now at level 93, which is also one of those damage rounding boost levels. Still, I lost this battle a ton before finally managing to make it past the Scumbrion without taking a Sand Attack. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Did I say without taking a Sand Attack? No, that's a lie. That never happened. No, instead what happened was I almost always take a Sand Attack, and Houndoom's Crunch even lowers our special defense so frequently that I'm genuinely starting to believe that this game is both sentient and out to get me. Ugh, okay. Gengar hits us with a curse, but hey, at least it knocked itself out. Hey, that's nice. I got that going for me. And things look over against the Vileplume when, out of nowhere, Wobbuffet lands an 11th hour critical hit to win the battle. Huzzah! And hey, you might call that luck, but I call it survival of the fittest. Now it's time for the champion battle with the last member, Lance the Dragon Master. And I don't think we're going to be strong enough to win this one with just struggle, so I use a max elixir before the battle to fully restore my BP. Still, this doesn't make the battle easy peasy lemon squeezy. Gyarados can choose between physical and special moves, making it very difficult to consistently guess correctly whether to use counter or mirror coat. I mean, that's annoying, but luckily we outspeed the Dragonite, so we can set up Safeguard before they use Thunder Wave. But unluckily, the variance between its move choice is even worse than the Gyarados'. So, I think we just have to level up. I don't know what else to do. I've tried to avoid just taking things all the way to 100, but I guess I've got no choice. So if you've been wanting me to Umbrella-vate Wobbuffet's level, don't worry, I've got you covered. Alright, no more Mr. Nice Guy. We're going to level 100, baby. Wahoo! And at this point, I'm just going to click struggle and hope for the best. I don't even care anymore. Gyarados isn't a problem, but I'm literally praying for Thunder Wave to miss multiple times against the Dragonites, and even with Wobbuffet holding a Paralyzed Cure Berry, I've lost this battle so many times because Paralysis is a friggin' jerk. And just look at this. Just look at this. After making it past the Aerodactyl and the Charizard, Wobbuffet is in prime position to take down Lance's final Pokemon Dragonite. But, and it's a big old chunky butt, Paralysis do what it do when it do what it do, as Wobbuffet gets fully paralyzed multiple times and we get knocked out. Why? Oh, God! I'm up to my ankles in resets, and I'm just waiting for it to get easier. Okay, so I've done this battle so many times, and I've realized that the moment a second Thunder Wave lands and we no longer have our berry to heal it, it's just better to reset the battle. Okie dokie, Artichoke, let's see just how well this one goes. And, make a long story short, I only had to reset this stupid battle, 47 times? Probably, I don't know who's even counting at this point. It's awesome, I'm happy, I love it, it's great. Such smart, very strategy, oh wow. And, oh, by the way, it's definitely not annoying that all we needed to win was to not get paralyzed. Like, that's it. That was it. Even with Lance's last Dragonite being healed by full restore, we still have plenty of health thanks to us not wasting turns with full paralysis, and Wobbuffet handily wins. It was just that... It's that easy. Huh? Hey, how about a round of applause for my suffering? And if you're feeling charitable, maybe even a standing ovation. And with Lance defeated, we have finally conquered the Pokemon League. But you know the challenge run isn't over yet, even though I want it to be. But I'm always going to consider beating the final trainer Red as the final boss of the run, unless of course a Pokemon is just impossibly bad. And Wobbuffet cuts it real close to that qualification, but despite the fact that I would be well within my rights to just call it quits here, I instead set sail upon the SS Aqua to head over to Kanto to take on their 8 gym leaders to acquire all 16 badges and earn the right to challenge Red atop Mount Silver. And I got through most of the Kanto gym leaders without any trouble, so now it's time to take on the final Kanto gym leader, Blue. And look, after the melodrama of beating Lance, I'd love to play it up here and leave everyone hanging on tenterhooks, but that's not the case. Even using Struggle, which damages us repeatedly, Wobbuffet has one thing here it didn't have before, and that is the hold item Leftovers. It's a hold item that heals 1/16 of your overall health each turn, meaning we heal more health than Struggle deals in Recoil. In fact, let me just speed up this part of the battle, because the only real threat is the Rhydon, for the same reason that Bruno's Onix was a problem. Sandstorm dealing 1/8 of our maximum health means we're taking a ton. Although, Leftovers does heal half of the Sandstorm damage each turn. But still, once Rhydon goes down and the Sandstorm disappears, there's not much to stop Wobbuffet from struggling to victory. Oh wait, there is one thing. Kinda like when we battled Will, Exeggutor could land a Leech Seed, at which point we're guaranteed to lose, even with Leftovers healing the same amount that Leech Seed deals to us. Thankfully though, that doesn't happen here, and instead, we take 2 Solar Beams, and well, that's not so bad. Not even Arcanine's mighty Flamethrower can roast the crust of Wobbuffet's PB&J. And, you know, that didn't make any sense. I'm sorry, this challenge has been taking forever, and honestly, I'm just getting too hungry to think. Then again, I do have more important things to worry about. Food should be the raft thing on my mind, but hopefully, I can find something to tide me over. With all 16 gym badges in hand, it's time to take on the final trainer Red atop Mount Silver. Okay, just this once, I would like to be able to win a single battle using Wobbuffet as Game Freak intended. Alright, battle starts off, and unfortunately, we still don't outspeed the Pikachu even at level 100, so we risk getting paralyzed by Thunder before we can set up Safeguard. Thunder doesn't do quite enough damage to Wobbuffet for Miracle to 1-KO the Pikachu, so I have to predict around Red using full restores by wasting Beepy with Destiny Bond. Hey, I think that might actually be the first time I use that move in battle. Awesome! Espeon Psychic deals even less damage than Thunder, meaning it takes even less damage from Mirror Coat, but it's okay, because all the while, Leftovers is making sure to keep our health nice and high. Snorlax comes out, and I make sure to use Safeguard to prevent Body Slam from paralyzing us. Encounter does beefy chunks of damage to Snorlax, but like with the Pikachu, I use Destiny Bond to waste a turn as Snorlax goes for rest. I get Snorlax down low on health, but then I have to flip a coin on whether or not Snorlax will use rest again, and I get it wrong unfortunately, so I get to do the merry-go-round of wasted Beepy once more. Eventually we take it down, and then Charizard wastes no time in going for flamethrowers, so we take it down. And then Blastoise actually does us a favor by critical hitting Surf, so we knock it out with Mirror Coat even sooner. And Venusaur goes for Solar Beam, and apparently, it does just enough damage for Mirror Coat to miss the knockout by what appears to be a single point of HP. Venusaur heals a little with Synthesis before locking itself into Solar Beam once again, which lets us win the battle. And I can't believe we beat Red. I can't believe we beat Red, and I can't believe we beat Red, and I can't believe we beat Red. After all, he's the final boss for Jimmy Buffett, or as I like to call him, the Parrot Head Honcho. And with that, the challenge is over. You know, Wobbuffet really surprised me with, well, not how bad it was, just how inconsistent it was. Everyone led me to believe that this thing was completely horrible. And, well, at times it was, but at the very end of the challenge, it completely dominated Red. So, I guess you just can't judge a book by its cover, because things are not always as they appear. As they appear, like a fishing pier. Okay, I admit that joke was awful. That joke was awful. Someone should really dock my pay. As always, I want to thank you for making it to the end of this video. These videos are a lot of fun, but also a lot of work, so I really do appreciate it. There's a playlist on my channel where you can find the rest of my Pokemon Challenge videos if you want to check those out as well. And if you like this kind of content and want to see more, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications so you'll know right away the next time one of these episodes is uploaded. And if you want early access to these videos and to have your name listed in the credits, consider becoming a member or joining on Patreon. And if you have a Pokemon you'd like to see, let me know in the comments down below and I'll probably do it. Next week, I'll be trying to beat Pokemon Crystal using only one Smeargle. Anyways, be sure to Neptune in next time, and until then,